Your car manufacturer says change your oil every 10,000 miles. That recommendation could cost you an $8,000 engine replacement. These automakers are lying to you about extended oil intervals, and most drivers have no idea. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why 10,000 miles is too long, what's destroying your oil, and the right interval for your engine. So, why do car companies push 10,000-mile oil changes? It has nothing to do with oil lasting that long. It's a marketing move. Here's how it works. You're shopping for a new car. One brand advertises oil changes every 5,000 miles. Another brand says 10,000 miles, half the maintenance. To most buyers, that second option sounds cheaper to own, and that's the whole game. Automakers compete on cost of ownership numbers, and longer oil change intervals make those numbers look better on paper. But here's what they don't highlight. Buried deep in almost every owner's manual, sometimes hundreds of pages in, there's a section called Severe Driving Conditions. Under those conditions, the recommended interval drops to 5,000 miles or less. Now, what counts as severe? Short trips under 10 miles, stop-and-go traffic, hot or cold climates, dusty roads, frequent idling. That describes roughly 90% of American drivers, but the number on the dealer sticker? That's the ideal conditions number, the one almost nobody qualifies for. And here's the part that should make you angry. If your engine fails, and you've been following that 10,000-mile interval, the manufacturer can point to the severe service clause and say, you didn't maintain your vehicle properly. Warranty denied. It's happened. It keeps happening. Oil is the cheapest protection your engine has. But that only works if you change it often enough. And speaking of what happens when you don't, this next part is going to change how you think about modern engines entirely. Most people assume newer engines are tougher. Better technology, better materials, better oil. So longer intervals should be fine, right? Wrong. Modern engines have two features that make extended oil changes more dangerous than they were 20 years ago. The big one is gasoline direct injection, also known as GDI. Older engines used port fuel injection, spraying fuel into the intake port at around 35 to 45 pounds per square inches. GDI engines spray fuel directly into the combustion chamber at pressures between 400 and 2,000 pounds per square inches. That extreme pressure forces tiny amounts of atomized gasoline past the piston rings and straight into your oil. This is called fuel dilution. And when gasoline mixes with engine oil, it thins out the viscosity. Think about it this way. Your engine is designed to run on 0W20 oil, which is already a very thin oil. Start adding gasoline to it, and now it's lubricating about as well as water. Your camshafts, bearings, and piston rings are all running on a film of contaminated fluid that can't do its job anymore. Here's a simple test you can do right now. Pull your dipstick after 7,000 or 8,000 miles on a GDI engine and smell it. If there's a noticeable gasoline odor, your oil is compromised and you're wearing out internal components every mile you drive. Now add a turbocharger to that GDI engine and the problem doubles. Turbo exhaust gas temperatures exceed 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit. That kind of heat breaks down oil at the molecular level. The protective additives, the detergents, and anti-wear compounds, they get cooked away much faster under turbo heat. Honda's 1.5-liter turbo engine is a well-documented example. Owners across the U.S. and Canada reported oil levels actually rising on the dipstick because so much gasoline was diluting the oil. Honda faced class action lawsuits and extended warranties, but only after thousands of engines showed premature wear. This was all recorded by NHTSA and covered extensively in automotive press at the time. So here's a realistic breakdown based on engine type. Port fuel injection with synthetic can handle about 7,500 miles reasonably well. A GDI engine without a turbo should stay at 5,000 miles maximum. A GDI plus turbo combo should be changed at 5,000 miles, and honestly 3,750 is even safer. And diesel engines are the exception at 10,000 miles with synthetic, because diesel fuel is a natural lubricant that doesn't destroy viscosity the way gasoline does. Completely different chemistry. Now, if you still think 10,000 miles is fine for a gas engine, wait until you see what lab results actually show. That's coming up right now. Let me show you a visual comparison most drivers never get to see. Fresh synthetic oil is golden, clean, and has correct viscosity. The same oil at 5,000 miles from a GDI engine is darker, which is actually fine because that means it's doing its job suspending contaminants. But at 10,000 miles, it's nearly black. Color isn't the real story though. Watch the flow. The 10,000 mile sample pours noticeably faster, it's thinner. That thinning comes from thermal breakdown and fuel dilution. And thinner oil means less protection on every metal surface inside your engine. Here's what's actually happening between 5,000 and 10,000 miles. Oxygen molecules are breaking down the oil structure through oxidation. Heat is degrading the protective additives through thermal breakdown. Fuel dilution, combustion byproducts, and microscopic metal particles are building up as contamination. And the detergents and dispersants that keep your engine clean are getting consumed through additive depletion. A 10,000-mile oil sample sent to Blackstone Labs came back with some alarming numbers. Fuel dilution sat at 3.5%, and anything over 2% is a red flag. Iron content hit 47 parts per million, which indicates high internal wear. And the TBN, which stands for total base number, dropped to 2.1 when it should be above 4 to provide real protection. That oil was done. It wasn't protecting anything. And millions of drivers are running around with oil in this condition because a marketing department told them it was fine. So what about that little oil life percentage on your dashboard? Can you trust it? Well, sort of, but with some serious caveats. Most newer cars have oil life monitoring systems that track engine revolutions, temperature cycles, load patterns, and cold starts. They calculate oil degradation based on your specific driving habits, which is pretty smart engineering. But these systems have blind spots. They assume you're using the correct oil specification. If you put conventional oil in an engine that calls for full synthetic, the monitor has no way to detect that. It'll read 50% life remaining when your oil is already shot. On top of that, these monitors can't directly test your oil. They can't measure fuel dilution. They can't detect metal particles. And they definitely can't identify coolant contamination from a failing head gasket. So here's what I recommend. If your car was built after 2015 and has an oil life monitor, use it as a general guide, but set a hard ceiling of 7,500 miles, no matter what the screen says. And if you have a GDI or turbocharged engine, ignore the monitor entirely and change at 5,000 miles. No debate. With all that said, let's talk about the part most people really care about, the money side. Over 100,000 miles at 10,000 mile intervals, you're doing about 10 oil changes. At 5,000 mile intervals, that doubles to 20. So yes, shorter intervals cost more upfront. There's no way around that. But here's the other side of that math. Sludge buildup from extended intervals clogs oil passages, jams variable valve timing solenoids, and carbons up piston rings. When that happens, you're looking at engine teardown work that makes those extra oil changes look like spare change. This is what the inside of an engine looks like after years of 10,000 mile oil changes on a GDI motor. Oil passages blocked, VVT solenoids stuck, piston rings caked in carbon. There's a resale angle too. Buyers and dealers check service records. Consistent 5,000 mile oil changes signal a well-maintained vehicle. Gaps of 10,000 miles or more raise questions, and that directly affects what someone's willing to pay for your car. I explained this in detail in my full engine oil replacement video. That covers the proper procedure step by step, because the interval is only half the equation. How you actually do the oil change matters just as much. Now let me give you the exact numbers you should be following based on your setup. Here's the straightforward breakdown. If you're running conventional oil, change it every 3,000 to 4,000 miles. It breaks down fast and there are no exceptions to this. If you're using a synthetic blend, stay at 5,000 miles maximum. It's better than conventional, but still limited in how long it holds up. If you have full synthetic in a port injection engine, 7,500 miles is safe. You can stretch toward 10,000 only if you're doing mostly highway driving in mild weather. If you have full synthetic in a GDI or turbocharged engine, change it at 5,000 miles, regardless of what the manual says. regardless of what the oil life monitor reads. And if you're running a diesel with full synthetic, 10,000 miles works fine thanks to different fuel chemistry and stronger engine construction. If you're not sure what engine type you have, just default to 5,000 miles with full synthetic. It's cheap protection that covers you no matter what. And if you want hard data on your specific engine, spend about $30 on an oil analysis from Blackstone Labs. Send them a sample at your next oil change, and they'll tell you exactly how your oil held up and whether you can safely extend or need to shorten your interval. One more thing before we wrap up. Get in the habit of checking your oil level and condition every time you fill up at the gas station. It takes 30 seconds. If the oil level is rising between changes, that's fuel dilution and you need to get that oil changed right away. If the dipstick smells like gasoline, same thing. Don't wait. Don't trust marketing. Don't trust stickers. Trust what oil analysis shows and what torn down engines prove. Now, if you want to see the right way to actually perform an oil change, because most people get the procedure wrong and leave old contaminants behind, watch this video right here. I explain this in detail in my full engine oil replacement video. If this helped you out, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video.